Hi, my name is Jillian. I'm 23 years old and I have never had a boyfriend. I've never talked to a boy, been on a date, held a boy's hand. I've never even been kissed. The last time I even liked a real boy, it wasn't Harry Styles, was in the second grade. And you know, as much as myself and my own fears are to blame, I think the real cause is social media. And I'm gonna tell you why. So at the risk of sounding like a broken record, hi, my name is Jillian. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Let's shake hands. And my channel is basically all about righting the wrongs committed against us by social media. It is ruining our lives in so many countless ways. And I feel like the sad thing is that so many of us are so aware of that, but we just don't care. And we're willing to keep up the self-sabotage. And I want to try and inspire you guys, as someone who's 3 years clean of social media, to ditch it. Ditch it like your nasty ex, okay? Now, I do want to lay some ground rules here, set a little bit of a disclaimer. There are some controversial topics ahead. All I ask is that you guys watch the video in full, hear me out fully, before commenting any rebuttals or counter opinions below. And when doing so, because I am okay with debate and discussion, just keep it cute and classy. Thank you so much. So I feel like where we should start is my dating story. So I'm Gen Z. I was born in 2001 and I grew up, you know, with Disney movies, with Barbie, with romance novels and like dystopian novels like The Hunger Games and Divergent, all pushing like romantic love is a way to get through hardship. And I feel like, you know, I am a hopeless romantic at heart, but with those things as such a pivotal part of my childhood, I feel like it kind of brewed unrealistic expectations in a way. And yet I don't even fully agree with that. Like, I would want to raise my daughters with the same content, but I just feel like it is something that has to be said. So with these expectations in mind, thanks to Prince Charming and stuff like that, I always kind of had like a plan for my life based on these movies, based on the timeline of older women in my family. You know, I would grow up, either meet the love of my life in high school, like my parents, or in college, like a lot of other people do. We would get engaged right out of college. We would get married, spend a few years traveling, and then settle down and have all our kids before 30. Well, that's the farthest thing from what happened. I had my first crush in second grade, and technically he was my first boyfriend. But it is also important to note that he asked me to be his girlfriend when we were in sixth grade. That was the last conversation we ever had. We were boyfriend and girlfriend in name only. We did not speak, because I'm pretty sure we were both equally terrified of each other. So enter in my hyperfixation slash fangirl phase. I went through several different versions of this, you know. Started slow with Justin Bieber, One Direction, 5 Seconds of Summer. But then once I got to high school and it became apparent that I was getting closer and closer to having to fraternize with boys and maybe date a boy, I just kind of dove headfirst into that lifestyle. I was obsessed with Tom Holland, Roger Taylor, the drummer from Queen, Harry Styles, which was the worst one by far. And I mean, I would just delude myself into basically being in like a parasocial romantic relationship with these celebrity men and or the characters they would play in movies. It was really unhealthy. It was a great time, but it was just really toxic and bad. Next, I entered into my August phase once I got to college, which is a Taylor Swift song, the song August, and it's basically about a girl who, you know, it never works out for her. And I just made that my entire personality, and I just felt so sorry for myself for a long, long time. Always wondering, like, the boys not like me? Why are boys interested in my friends and not me? And at the risk of sounding, you know, I'm not even gonna disclaimer this, like, I know I'm pretty. And there's nothing wrong with a girl knowing that she's pretty. I'm just gonna put that out there. So I would just wonder, you know, what's wrong with me? And it was a bad time. So I got tired of that eventually and decided it was time to decenter men and relationships and get them off the pedestal that I had had them on for so long. At this point, the only men on a pedestal in my life are God and Jesus Christ. Amen. And that's when I was able to finally learn about why I was in fan culture for so long. I entered into what I call my Joe March era, where I realized the truth. I'm terrified of boys, terrified of dating, and being vulnerable and trusting someone enough to do certain things that you do in a relationship disgusts me, scares me. Leave me alone. Please don't ever talk to me like you'll be bored of him in 2 years. We'll be interesting forever. I finally understood why I was so jealous of friends of mine who were finding success in relationships. It was not because I was jealous they had a boyfriend. I was jealous that their boyfriend was taking them away from me and I wasn't gonna have my friends anymore. So where am I at now? 2025, it's my resolution to date. I feel like I've learned everything about myself in that arena that I'm going to learn alone. So I've gotten on dating apps and I have had my first date. So I lied in the beginning of this video. I have gone on a date, but that's about as far as it goes. So that, my friends, is my very long-winded dating story. Comment yours down below in timeline format so that I can read them. But this isn't just my story. For so long, I thought there was something wrong with me because all of my friends were being pursued by and dating guys and I was not. But that's when I started hearing more stories about friends of friends and seeing more videos, like testimonial videos on YouTube of girls living the same or similar experience to me. You know, entering into our early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, and we have experienced nothing. I shudder to think what a Victorian child would think upon looking at us. He'd be like, oh my god, spinsters! Get them away, they're witches! But you know, through seeing more and more of these stories, I realized something. This is an epidemic amongst women my age. And you know, as much as that fact comforted me for some time, because it's always comforting when you realize you're not alone in something you have felt so alone in, I just had to ask myself, why? Social media, that's why. So I'm gonna divide the rest of this video up into 2 sections, our causes and our results. What are the causes, and I'm gonna be honest here, social media and not, that is lighting this epidemic on fire, that is destroying the dating world, specifically for young women, and then I'm gonna get into the results. So let's just go ahead and get started. So we are the generation, Gen Z, that has not only grown up with just Disney, because our parents arguably grew up with that too, but I mean, we grew up with Disney, Barbie, Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, The Hunger Games, etc. All of these types of stories that are very heavy in like escapism and escaping from reality and into a world that is not necessarily heavily romantic, but still is so immersive that we almost leave our own world behind. And there is beauty in that, but just wait, I'm gonna get to the bittersweet part. And then also like the rise in video games, which was kind of, I feel like, our generation's introduction into singular activity, which is what I'm defining as something you do by yourself. So now, on top of all of that we grew up with, let's talk about the introduction of social media that hit us right at the beginning of our teen years and all the toxicities that go along with that. So we now have all these apps, TikTok, Instagram, X, whatever, that have exacerbated the idea of doing things alone. You know, you have a million different videos on YouTube, living alone diaries, doing things alone in my 20s. And then you go online looking for help with your anxiety or your depression, and what's the first thing everyone tells you? Hibernate, disappear, reload, recharge, don't show your face in public. You even have like Taylor Swift, who's branded herself with this reputation era. No one saw me for a year. I disappeared, I came back and I conquered. And everybody is so hyper fixated on doing things alone. And there's also such a push for individualized culture. So find your aesthetic, but you can only have one. What's your zodiac sign? What's your Enneagram? But the point is you can only have one. You have to be in a box. Next is comparison, bragging, and our relationship with celebrities and their relationships. You know, it's so much easier now to compare yourself and your friends and your relationship to your family and your relationship with your significant other to what you're seeing online, which is fake. It's not real. Now, this next one is where I fear we're going to get into a little bit of a controversial arena, and that is the feminist movement. Now, I just have to preface by saying I am a feminist. I love feminist literature. I love learning about the feminist movement and all the different brackets of it, and I'm so grateful for where it has what it has achieved for me and my fellow women today. But we cannot ignore the fact that it has turned so many men away from dating. The feminist movement, well-intentioned, but when you just have so many young women screeching online about how they hate men, don't ever approach me, don't ever speak to me, you know, setting all these rules and whatnot, no man is gonna ever try to actually talk to you. Like, he's gonna listen, because men are not smart, and I'm sorry to any men watching, but men are not as smart as the feminist movement makes them out to be. The only people who legitimately hate women are women. We're the only ones knocking each other down. Another controversial one, mental health movement. Another great thing, well-intentioned in this push for mental health awareness and understanding and acceptance. Nobody is pushing themselves to do anything. Everybody is complacent. Everyone is just accepting, you know what? That girl over there is so beautiful. She could be the love of my life. I feel this connection to her. But I have social anxiety, so. Next, there are so many dating rules pushed by social media, and I have specifically seen this on TikTok, you know, with people's ick lists, and like, if he does that, it means he's talking to another girl. If she does this, it means that she's doesn't really like you that much. She's for the streets. Whatever. There's so many rules, and it scares people. Nobody is, again, it goes back to the mental health movement. Like, people are afraid and they're not willing to push that boundary anymore because of these rules that are made up. Like, oh, like, even if a man did approach a girl, she'd be like, ooh, he has blue eyes, ick. And then this one is specifically very personal to me and culture, and obsessing over celebrity men. It's fun, it's cute, but we're taking it too far. And lastly, the rise in dating apps and then the precedent set by Snapchat. Humans are apparently like online clothes at this point. You just swipe, I don't want that, I don't want that. I'll talk to this t-shirt for a minute, maybe put it in my cart. No, I'm icked out. I don't want it. Now that we've talked about all the causes for why social media has ruined dating, especially for young women, let's talk about the results. What are we seeing happen because of these causes? We have a romanticized idea of what a relationship looks like because of some of the stuff that we're raised on, but also because of what is pushed on social media. You know, on Wattpad, on Book Talk. It's getting to the point where if your significant other makes one mistake, divorce. I don't have the energy to fight this, like, he's just not my person. Grow up. Like, nobody is perfect, okay? Everybody is flawed. And you know, maybe you should get a divorce because it's not really love if you're not willing to stay and fight for that person. And it's the same if they're not willing to do this, like, fight for you as well. You know, love is, it's more than just, you know, the moments alone together. It's more than just the shared glances and the rubbing of the hands in secret and like the make-out sessions in the backseat of your car and just the passion. It's falling for this person for their faults. And we just do not know how to do that anymore because social media makes everything look so perfect. So when it's not perfect, it's not good enough anymore. The next one is that we're all so into ourselves, so self-centered in this quest for identity and understanding of ourselves that we then build up these types in our head. Like, ooh, because I'm an artsy indie, I'm gonna date an artsy indie. But your person could be right in front of you and they're your polar opposite. It's like we just can't look outside of ourselves at all. So then next, with the feminist movement, the result of that in my eyes is that—
Hello, this is Editing Jillian here, and I felt like I did not articulate myself very well in this section of the video, so here's a summed up version of my thoughts. I think that the feminist movement has promoted hookup culture in very many ways, and because of that, and because that is now seen as empowering, which to each their own, I'm not saying it's not, I don't think it is personally, but because of the rise in that, it has given men permission to act like men. So I don't think that it has benefited anybody. I don't think that it has benefited women especially, and I don't think that it's been very empowering. I think that it has damaged the dating world quite a lot. Not to mention that also in the constant discussion around chivalry and how women don't need that anymore. It's the 21st century. Men are not being chivalrous. They're not being gentlemen. They're not treating women like I personally think we deserve to be treated. Open the door, pull out the chair, bring me some flowers, okay? I am a woman and I want that. Thank you.
Next is the results of the mental health movement. You know, we don't push ourselves to be better, and instead we are way too accepting of our negative traits that hold us back from everything. And that is the first key to acceptance, or to true self-acceptance, is understanding and, you know, accepting your negative traits. But you can't just be complacent with them. You gotta start trying to fight against them and to grow. And nobody is willing to do that anymore, and it's holding us back. And it's causing us as a generation to be so fearful. We have no courage. We have no bravery, no strive, no ambition for anything. Hence the ghosting and the non-commitment and the situationships. It's like, I have anxiety and I'm scared of commitment, so I'm gonna tell this person that on the first date, and then they're gonna be the same way because we're all freaking messed up. And then y'all are both just gonna be like, well, let's get down and dirty then. And then you'll be over in 2 months. Congratulations. And then you'll be listening to Taylor Swift and crying in the car. And then, you know, of course, all the rules that I mentioned earlier, they keep us from giving anybody a chance. No one is going to 100% escape your ick list, and it's like I said earlier, that's the point of love, is to love them for the things that gross you out. But you're never gonna be able to fall in love if you can't get past the fact that he wears a blue t-shirt on a Wednesday. I don't know. It's literally that stupid to me. But I can also promise you that there are plenty of things that you do, sister, that ick him out too. And so then another result of social media on dating is the obsession with celebrity men. From personal experience, I can say that so many of us are hiding behind that and, you know, putting expectations on these celebrities that they wouldn't even meet in real life. Let me be so real with you. Timothée Chalamet, Harry Styles, Glenn Powell, Austin Butler. I promise you, none of them are perfect. None of them are anything like how they portray themselves to the public, because their entire goal is to sell themselves to you so that you buy anything and everything they do, whether it's their art, their merch, like their Instagram photo, buy their brand deal. It's their job to make you want them. So hiding behind them and thinking, I'll never meet a guy like, I can't even think, like Pete Davidson. Girl, I promise you, you did. You met him last night at the bar and you didn't like him. He was on your ick list. And then, you know, the last big result of social media on dating is that it takes the seriousness out of it. It makes us view each other as something expendable, almost like a cartoon character or a video game NPC or a background actor in a romance book, which is full circle to how we all started with the fairy tale movies, the dystopian novels, and the video games. So since deleting social media, my outlook on dating has changed so much, and I have finally learned that the reason that I had never dated in the past had nothing to do with boys not liking me or something being wrong with me. It's because I was chronically online, and in being so, it was exacerbating all of my worst traits, and it was exacerbating all of my fears. And people can feel when someone is afraid or turned off or they have a wall up. And for me, that wall was as tall as Rapunzel's freaking tower, okay? And there ain't no hair long enough for anyone to climb up. So I'm the reason that I am 23 and have never been kissed and never dated. And I only realized that when I deleted social media and had to actually look inward at myself and dissect all of this. And when I finally did that, I had to come to terms with it first, accept that I am like this. I am Jo March. And then I had to understand that love is not all a woman is fit for, but I'm so lonely. And so here we are, looking for my Friedrich, because who has time to deal with Lori? And I think that so many women who are in my position will find themselves on the same path as me if they just have the guts to delete Instagram and TikTok. Now, I'm never gonna stop reading the romance books. I'm never gonna stop watching Disney princesses. I said earlier, I will be raising my daughter on that stuff. But I really think that there's nothing wrong with having high expectations, you know? Having hope and standards for an amazing, crazy love. As long as you just remember, because it makes more sense as you get older, Beast, he's like every ick on the list, but Belle still fell in love with him. So was it really toxic messaging? I don't really think so. So stop hating on Disney princesses. Thank you so much. So now that I have learned all of these things, and there is really no changing the world that we live in, this digital world, all we can really do is embrace it. And so that is what I'm doing. You know, I'm getting on the dating apps. I'm going on dates with strangers, but I'm being safe about it. Don't let a man drive you anywhere. And that's all that we really can do. You know, that's the only way to get over our fears. But I also want to leave you with this, that like there's nothing wrong with setting standards, which is the farthest thing from rules, okay? Like rules, he can't do this, he can't do that. But standards, he'll be patient. He's funny. He will treat me and our future children with respect. Stuff like that. That is important and that matters and that's okay. But not like he has to paint his nails. He can't not have curly hair. Like he has to drive a truck. Stuff like that is dumb and it's just holding you back. So comment down below your guys' standards for your relationships. Comment down your stories below. I would love to read them. And I think it's important for us ladies to encourage each other. So my throat hurts. I got a little too intense yelling at the camera today. This is just a topic I'm really passionate about. The hopeless romantic in me wants everyone to be a hopeless romantic and to realize that that's not gonna happen if you're on social media so much. Like it's just gonna make you a hopeless dummy. So with that being said, remember what you deserve and stop being so afraid to go and get that by putting all these little fake roadblocks up in the way. It's okay. You got this. Don't forget to disconnect for a while. I love you guys and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.